At the Mountains of Madness is doing one thing that I didn't think would be possible. As I read this, and they refer to prior explorations and prior people coming down, expeditions, I want to learn more about them. Here in this chapter, which let me read you the cryptic chapter title. Chapter 3, A Vivid Mirage. So they get in the planes, and they talk about Scott's doomed route in 1911. I'm like, what is the doomed route? Like, what happened to this guy? I've read a little bit about the exploration in the north, in the Arctic, trying to find the Northwest Passage around the north side of the continent, North America. And that's some fascinating stuff, the struggles that people went through. And that's relatively close in comparison to Antarctica, to the origin countries, to the people doing the explorations. I can't imagine how much rougher, how much worse things are on the opposite side of the world. So they take off flying, and the biologist is like, man, I want to study more of those rocks. Get me more of those rocks. So they're kind of flying out, scouting, trying to pick the next location to build a little base, and they're kind of going to the northwest. Careful! The wind's tilting us. Yep, you got to get that artificial horizon, man. Otherwise, flying is rough. Oh, look at this. I forgot about this. That journey. The worst journey in the world. Scott's doomed route in 1911. Like, I got to wonder, like, what happened? How many people got hurt or died? And so we're just going to kind of skip to a really cool page here, okay? They get one of those polar mirages. But the polar mirage sure doesn't look like just a mountain, does it? It sure doesn't look like it's just some mountains, some natural structures. It looks like it's a city. It looks like a city. What are we seeing? Like, everybody is staring. Everybody's like, holy crabapple, what is this thing? Now, of course, they kind of talk themselves into believing it's just mountains, but they're all a little spooked. They come back, they land, they talk to the biologist, and he's like, look, we got to go northwest. And the leader of the expedition is like, no, we got to find a better place to put a base. Northwest, like, what you want to do is just not going to work out, bro. So they kind of come into like a deal where the biologist is going to get left behind with a couple people, and they're going to carry on their work. Meanwhile, they're going to keep scouting with the plane and go set up the next base. Well, this leads to what I thought was really fun. So you might recall that there was a game called Death Stranding, right? A walking simulator, basically. Except there's so much more than that. Like, I was so dismissive of Death Stranding until I actually played it. And that game is unfathomable. It's unexplainable. You can't tell somebody what Death Stranding is. You can't tell them how it works or any of that kind of stuff. It's definitely a you just have to live it kind of thing. Like, if you're not there watching Death Stranding or playing Death Stranding, you have no idea. Some of the lore in Death Stranding is about as inexplicable as what they're going through. And I mention all this because the guys that are left on the ground that are going to go do their thing, they actually just bust out stuff that you would do in Death Stranding. You'd be like, oh man, I gotta cross a gap. I'm gonna drop a ladder and walk across it. I did that so many times in that game. It was often the right thing to do, man. Sometimes it's just like, I need a ladder. I gotta get across a river and I can't get down in the water and get wet because the sides are too steep or I'm carrying too much cargo or whatever. So this was fun. Like, this just kind of pulled me back into that kind of mode of thinking, out of the conventional where I've been for, most of my life, back into how things were there. It pulled up a lot of nostalgia kind of feelings for me, which is also kind of weird because it wasn't that long ago that I played Death Stranding. It's a very effective couple pages, and you can see how this dude is obsessed. Because he's like, look, these rocks are pre-Cambrian. There's no way there can be crazy life forms in it. But it looks like crazy life forms. And so he's trying to get to where he can find more rocks from other places of that type to study, to prove that there were advanced life forms before the Cambrian explosion. And if you've never seen the kind of critters that lived in the Cambrian era, you should look that up, man. There were some really crazy body plans and stuff in the historical times. This story is so much fun, accompanied by these images. I am eating this up with a spoon, man. I am eating it up. You all take care. Bye-bye.